Thank you, Marcel, for the kind introduction, and thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here this morning and discuss some insights with you on securities, on digital securities, based on our numerous projects that we've done in the space. And as Marcel already pointed out, those of you who've been coming to this event for a while, you know that Define is a regular sponsor for this great event. And so it happens that just this spring, my colleague Marcus and I gave a talk on crypto securities and how they might impact the market. And so today I would pretty much like to pick up where we left off last time. And for today, I would like to focus on an additional aspect to things we discussed I think 6 months ago. And today I would like to talk about intermediaries. Because I'm pretty sure that many of you here in the room and also many of you watching from home, you probably work for some of the companies that fill these roles here in the middle, the roles that connect issuers and investors in primary and secondary markets. And we have countless of these intermediaries. And I'm sure you all know, and you probably all feel already, that the technology, more specifically DLT and blockchain, but also as well as user requirements and regulation, they put more and more pressure on these traditional roles. And then along comes regulation, the Electronic Securities Act, and suggests that there's actually one role, that's the only role which is actually required from a regulatory standpoint, and that is the role of the registrar. So you could go ahead and say that all you need is the registrar, who runs a crypto security register, and that connects the issuers and the investors who have their wallets, and you're done with it. However, you should not confuse regulatory requirements with market requirements, right? So there's more to the field of capital markets than just the regulatory requirement of having this one entity in place. Because when you want to connect issuers and investors, then they come along with a lot of requirements, things they want to have solved for them in order to connect issuers with investors or investors with other investors. And so I think that especially in the context of crypto securities, these intermediaries that you saw in the middle before, they will be of great importance, actually, to make this new ecosystem usable at all. Because when you look at the requirements that these roles come with, it is, for instance, that as an issuer, I first of all want to find investors. It's not like the crypto registrar or the blockchain will solve that for you. Or other requirements like the investor perhaps wants someone to manage their cryptographic keys because they don't want to just lose their keys and lose all their assets. Also, they want to be sure that they can sell their securities on a secondary market, just as well as the issuer may want to make sure that there is actually an active secondary market. Then investors probably want to be certain that they don't lose their assets just because of some bug. And an issuer probably wants to execute or at least enable corporate actions. And finally, issuers may also want to pay investors using a stablecoin or some other means of payment. And these are obviously not all requirements there are, but it's some requirements that intermediaries address today and will most likely also address in the future. And an important statement, I think, is that in addition to these, I want to call them core services that address these requirements, intermediaries also make sure that regulatory compliance is assured, that fraud protection is there, IT security is there. So they have this additional role of not just delivering a specific service, but also delivering it in a secure way and make this ecosystem actually safer for the roles interacting with it. And so what I would like to do here today is I would like to actually look at a few of those intermediaries and their classical roles today and look at what their purpose is today and look at what might be a good potential additional service in this new ecosystem. Because what we hear a lot is that blockchain will disrupt existing financial services or disintermediate specific services in the field. And the truth is probably that all these existing roles, these existing financial services, they have a lot of functionality in place that is actually still required in this new ecosystem. They're just missing a few things to enter this ecosystem in an efficient and secure way. And I would like to start with custodian banks. We all know their purpose probably, safekeeping of assets, record keeping, settlement, servicing, and so forth. So for them, the crypto registrar is probably a good new additional service because it uses a lot of what they already have in place, right? So you have to do KYC, you have to do regulatory reporting, all these kinds of things already. So you have a lot of things like business continuity management and so forth. All these things you have already in place, and now you want to make sure that you still have a role tomorrow. And what is actually closest to the purpose you have today here is that of the crypto registrar, right? And there's another role they could also fill if they don't want to be a crypto registrar. Which I called here shareholder service agent. So basically making sure that a couple of services that a crypto registrar may not enable themselves can actually be enabled using their technology. Another classical role I want to look at is the one of investment banks or primary market platforms or trading platforms. So I put them together here. So their purpose today is obviously for the primary market issuance of securities, but also connecting issuers and investors, something the blockchain cannot do for you, and price finding, facilitating buy and sell. So they might look at tokenization platforms and token exchanges. Again, importantly, the thing here is that a lot of technology is already in place. And it's not like you can just come up with a tokenization platform and say, hey, I just built this little app that will do all the tokenization. The important thing is that all the systems, all the processes, all the staff, the operational teams, all the things that are already in place with these existing classical roles and with these existing financial services can easily be applied to this new service. And I'm going to go through the others just a bit quicker. If you look at the agents that actually represent, or that might be the edge roles there, right, that represent the issuers or investors for this ecosystem. They manage their rights and obligations and facilitate payments. They might actually be most suited to become the crypto custodian, right, because they are already the ones that connect you with this ecosystem of capital markets. So they might still be the ones that connect you with a new ecosystem of capital markets and make sure that you can sign transactions, interact with smart contracts. Another one I want to bring is the CSD, right? The CSD, we hear a lot, is no longer required because now we have the crypto securities and we have the registrar. And I would like to make the statement that the CSD has a lot of important purposes here, like managing ownership records already, facilitating security settlement, and ensuring integrity and efficiency in these markets. So why not bring all these things into the new ecosystem and become a crypto registrar? Or if you want to make sure that markets are efficient and work well, you could make sure that all these different assets on all these different blockchains actually work nicely and neatly together. So something like a network bridge, so to speak. So I'm not saying that this is a classical role for the CSD. I'm just saying that for a CSD, this is a low-hanging fruit because there's a lot of technology, a lot of business processes already in place. And finally, no, there's two more actually, the market makers, right? Today, you already have market makers in place, right? They provide liquidity, they make sure that the spread is low. So, and in the future, these classical roles might look at becoming a liquidity provider because in this new ecosystem, blockchain-based ecosystem, things might be different, right? We might look at decentralized exchanges, at money pools, and so forth. So they might adjust what they do today to become perhaps a liquidity provider. And now finally, last row, if you look at payment service providers, today they facilitate money transfers and so forth, but in the future they might become stablecoin issuers or also network and technology bridges. And with this last example, I would actually like to go just a little bit deeper to make the point clearer. Again, you have the issuers and the investors here on the two sides, and let's say they look at the same asset chain, be it Ethereum, for instance, right? Then if they want to make a payment, they need some sort of integration with perhaps a legacy system, like an RTGS system, T2 for instance, or perhaps they want to pay using SWIFT or SEPA. But you might also have different chains with a stablecoin, or we probably all agree that the central banks will not put their CBDC on all public blockchains out there, so there might be a CBDC ledger. So the payment service provider could come in and they could use a lot of stuff they already have, a lot of connections and technology they already have, but there's stuff missing, right? They need to integrate with these asset chains, right? So they might actually have to deploy smart contracts that act as triggers, for instance. Or they might deploy an own smart contract with an own stablecoin to that asset chain. And so they would connect not just the legacy world to this new world, they might also connect new world aspects to this new world. And so what I'm trying to say here is that if you are such a classical role like a payment service provider and you already have a lot of stuff in place, it might be useful to look at what is missing to join the ecosystem and actually integrate into that ecosystem with that specific role that you already have today. And this brings me to an important statement from what we see a lot when we talk to our clients. When the Electronic Securities Act came out 2 years ago, a lot of our clients called us up and said, hey, we want to become a crypto registrar. And we obviously do that a lot. We help our clients a lot with that. And we also ask the question, are you sure that that's what you want to do? Is there not anything else perhaps that you want to do? Because before you actually apply for a license, before you actually build an entire system, an entire new use case, we always encourage our clients to take a good hard look at the ecosystem and ask a few hard questions like, how will the ecosystem evolve? What do we actually believe? Do we believe that it's going to be more decentralized or less decentralized? Also, what will be the technological basis? Will it be all public blockchain or will it be several smaller DLT networks, all private blockchains? Which services do you provide today, and will they still be needed tomorrow? So that's basically the slide I showed you before. So how does what you do today fit in with this new ecosystem? And what will be needed to provide those services? What kind of talent do you need? Technology, know-how, licenses, perhaps? And then finally, what will be your USP? What will be special about what you build? We don't need 300 crypto registrars, right? We need a few that work well. We don't need 300 payment service providers that integrate with the same stablecoin blockchain. And I think the most important message on this slide perhaps is that we can help you with that. So if you want to ask these questions and if you want to do anything, if you want to implement anything, Define is here to help. We help a lot with analysis, with solution design, and also implementation. And that brings me to a quick introduction of the firm. For those of you who do not know Define, we also have a booth outside, and you're all welcome to join us there, and we can discuss about this content, but also about the talks that my colleagues will be giving tomorrow and all the panels that we're on during this conference. We've grown to become over 1,500 consultants. And what is our USP? I just talked about what is the USP in this new ecosystem. Our USP is really, first of all, where we come from. Most of all are natural scientists. I myself am a physicist. And the other thing that makes us special, I guess, is our hands-on approach, because we all deliver not just business design, but also implementation. So we go all the way united in each and every person at the firm. In the blockchain space, we have a great service offering, I think, because we, as I said, go all the way from strategy and business models all the way to implementation, software engineering, risk analyses, and so forth. And you can see that we've worked with a huge variety of clients. And you can see over here the expertise that we have, not just in digital assets, but it goes all the way to SSI and tokenization, NFTs. And with that, I guess I'm still here for a few questions if you have any. And otherwise, I'm happy to meet you outside at our booth and discuss the content of this, but also anything else around crypto securities and the topics I just showed you. Thank you so much for your attention.